President Trump recently signed an executive order labeling fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. The order frames the manufacturing and distribution of fentanyl as a threat to national security. U.S. law already makes it a crime to use, threaten, or attempt to use weapons of mass destruction. It's an offense that carries a possible death sentence, depending on the circumstances. However, Trump cannot change U.S. law, that is, with just an executive order. Officials are still questioning whether his new order is more symbolic than having any type of actual impact. It's a story that we should be discussing later today as he meets to discuss health care needs. We know health care insurance premiums are increasing for all of us, and so it's something that we'll be closely monitoring. What I want to do is I'm going to bring our guest in a little bit closer to me right now, Faye, because we're having some microphone problems.
We don't have the mic.
Right, that. With this news, many families have lost loved ones to fentanyl and are eager to see just how this curbs, that executive order curbs ending the drug here in our country. And so with that, Fay Martin, her son, your son Ryan, passed away from this. You've been very active, very involved here in the state with Governor Abbott. This executive order, when you saw this news on Monday, how did it impact you?
Well, we've been working long and hard to get this pushed into a weapon of mass destruction. First, it was getting the cartels declared as terrorist organizations, and the HALT Act, and then the terrorist organizations, and now we're moving on to weapon of mass destruction. And what we're trying to do is get these into stiffer penalties, harsher. It's more of a proactive rather than a reactive measure with trying to get these drug cartel boats that are using the maritime routes to get this into our country. And it's not just a single drug that we're using or that they're using to get into this country. It's the drugs are dangerously intertwined. It's cocaine, it's heroin, it's methamphetamines, and it's a number of drugs that are coming into our country, and they're contaminated. They have cross-contamination with fentanyl. And
we're seeing pictures right now where this is your daughter, Shannon. And full disclosure, you and I are close friends. You work with my wife. We've known your story. It's something you carry with you when you meet people. You have a group of ladies throughout Texas.
Yes.
In South Texas. I say ladies, but I mean families, but it's really the mothers that are leading the charge, it feels. Is that kind of accurate? Because you lost your son. Talk a little bit about Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, he had struggled with substance use disorder, and I had originally, when he died, I had originally accepted it just as an overdose. But then when his toxicology came back, 2 milligrams is enough to kill you. He had 23 in his system. And the Ventura County, which is the county he lived in California, they have a pharmaceutical crimes unit. And they aggressively went after and did search warrants on his phone and found the person that sold him fake Xanax. So.
And his problem started because he had an injury.
He had an injury in 2016, and they tried to fix the injury. It was a back injury with physical therapy and whatnot, and the whole time he was on pain medication, narcotics. Then they finally said it has to be surgery. So it was a prolonged period that he got addicted. So after the surgery, the doctor put him on pain management and ended up taking him off, and then that's when he turned to buying pills. And when he realized that pills are more expensive than heroin, he went to heroin, and it just went from there.
And this is kind of a warning to anybody that's been through any kind of medical. I've had multiple back surgeries, and the doctors are always very cognizant of the fact we got to monitor the prescription drugs you're taking, because a lot of people, they do turn to that. They're in chronic pain, and that's an issue. What is your message for families that maybe are dealing with this, know somebody, a loved one, this holiday season, people will be getting together? What's a way to approach this conversation and see things done?
Well, I would say anybody that has children in the house, young adults, college students, they need to have Narcan in their home. And if you're going to say not my kid, I'm a not my kid parent. And if I had a nickel for every parent that said I didn't even know what fentanyl was until they saw the death certificate and then had to look into what is fentanyl. And it's illicit fentanyl. We're not talking about the fentanyl that you get in the hospital or your doctor prescribes. And now the cartels control everything, the fishing ports, or the fishing, the ports, even the pharmacies. And a lot of people in the coastal bend go down to Mexico, and they get prescriptions. And there's a young man named Ryan Bagwell in Mission, Texas, that he got a prescription of Percocet from a pharmacy thinking it was safe, and he died from fentanyl.
And it wasn't.
And yeah, so they're targeting, the cartels and China are targeting the tourist areas and the United States. The fastest growing demographic for loss of life with fentanyl is ages 14 to 18. And
we could talk about this for so long. What we're going to do is put resources on our website with this interview. Go to KIIITV.com. Hopefully it'll be up shortly. But Fay, I really appreciate you sharing your message. I know your message. Hopefully this reaches somebody this holiday and saves that life and makes it really the season of giving life back to somebody that needs it. One thing, please.
Just really quick. By dedicating or declaring fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, it targets fentanyl traffickers. And the young man that sold my son the fentanyl, he had 3 fentanyl trafficking warrants. So the first one, he would have been in jail. He wouldn't have been around for the second one and the third one. And there's a good likelihood my son would be alive. So just keep that in mind. And if you need naloxone, Narcan, you can get it at HEB.
Perfect. Fay, you're amazing. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Okay.